Okay, here we go. So by the title, you're probably guessing what this is all about, this video. So there's the battery isolator was removed, and we've installed a breaker, and it's going to the DC to DC charger in the van. Let's go have a look at this setup. Okay, it's the Road Trek 190 Versatile, and we did some modifications. We added, there's one battery, that's a new ion battery. It's number 1 and number 2. So that gives me 200 amp hours. So that's 100 amp hours. And that one there over there is 100 amp hours also. This one here is removable, okay, because I use this battery in my little micro camper too. When I need it, I just unplug and I go. And here's the DC to DC charger I just put in, okay. And I mounted it on an aluminum plate. I didn't have a big enough plate, so I just used 2 pieces. And I left enough room in between just in case I ever want to add a fan. So I'll have the room to do it. But they don't look like I'm gonna need one. Okay, and there's the circuit breaker for one battery. There's the circuit breaker for another battery. And there's a fuse for the DC to DC charger. Okay, and the DC to DC charger, the red wire, the small red wire you see right here, okay, that goes to the ignition. And the 3 wires in the bottom, there's 2 positives and 1 ground, okay, and they're hooked up to it. And right here, this here, okay, goes to the ignition. Okay, well, it's a small remote control, so I can disactivate the DC to DC charger whenever I want. Just turn it on and turn it off. So let's say you're driving and you don't want to keep your alternator from getting hot if you stop at a train track for X amount of time. Well, you can just use this. I'll come and show you here. So you can just use this little remote control, and you can shut it off or turn it on anytime you want. I'll show you. I'll turn the ignition on. Okay. Let's turn the ignition on, and let's go back there and turn it on, see what happens. Okay, so there you see I got the remote here. Okay, let's activate it. You'll probably hear it. There, you just heard that click. So that just activated the DC to DC charger. Okay, and I also added another little cigarette lighter port here. And then you're probably wondering, well, DC to DC batteries, they charge at a different rate, so that's why yeah, those lithium ion batteries, there's lithium ion batteries charge at a different rate. They have to charge a little bit higher, so that's why we got the DC to DC charger in here to charge both 100 amp hour batteries. And the thing is, if you're plugged into shore power, okay, like the 120 shore power, well, I also added this. This is a battery charger, okay. I pulled the old one out and I put that blue one, and there's a circuit breaker for it. And that one there, if I'm plugged into shore power, well, it'll charge those 2 batteries, and it'll charge them for the same as lithium-ion batteries. So if I go on the, if you go on here, they have a, so there's an app, okay. So there's the app, and you see both my systems, okay. So if I hit this one, okay, that's the battery charger is loading it up, and there you can see that my voltage is 14 volts, and it's 30.0 amps. So it's right now it's plugged in and it's charging. So if I go back out of here and I go to the DC to DC charger, okay, it's loading it up, and there we see the voltage is down to 11.9. okay, so let's go ahead and start the van and see what happens. So we'll go ahead and start the van, and let's have a look and see. So you can see that the charge is already going up. There it goes. It's at 14.1, okay, and not seeing any charge in the bottom. Well, if I use the remote and click on, okay, I should be able to start. There it is. So I can see the voltage going into the battery, okay, on the app. So there's the app working at its finest. Okay, and let's go over here and see that's the old original camper setup, and there's the 50 amp breaker that was in there before, right down there. Well, instead of changing all the wires, that's why that breaker's there. So there's actually two breakers coming in. There's one there, and then there's the ones over here. The only reason why I left that one there is because I didn't have to run a new wire all the way. So that's the system, and there's the shunt here, which is showing 200 amp hours, okay, and the watts that I'm using right now are showing up on there. And yeah, so that should give me lots of power to run everything I need, and that's it there. So that's the new system for the camper. Before we head out for our trip out west, we thought we'd upgrade the system so that we have lots of power. Of course, I added this air conditioner too. That's a new thing, and of course we got the new stereo and a video recording camera. So yeah, so that's about it. So we're pretty much almost ready to go. I just gotta get all the beds re-put back in the back here, and then I'll be almost ready to go. First, I'm gonna go do a test run with this setup. So thanks for watching. So yeah, so that's my new setup.